The prophet Isaiah, forget the former things. Do not dwell on the past. See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? They shall beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war any more. Welcome to the Citizen Arts Podcast series, Israeli Voices, Who We Are. Episode 5, a model of universal health care. Poet in a rocket bunker. Duty, honor, country for most Israelis, not all. Jews fighting the British for independence. The void in learning Arabic culture and Israeli civics. Helping young people understand and grieve about the tragedies of war. A giant demonstration against military service. Musings about the holiest of holies on the Mount of Olives and in the Old City.
That's a health clinic?
There? Yeah.
What would it cost for you to go in there if you broke your thumb?
5% of salary goes to medical care. All subsidized. This will cover most of what we need, including medicine. Now, this is all public medicine. In public medicine, you cannot choose, for example, who is going to operate on you. If you want a special doctor, you can go to private medicine. Also, our private health insurance is not very expensive. Israel was established according to the European medicine model, and European model is universal care.
Shlomit, your husband's a rabbi, a baker, a dad.
Yeah.
So, he can also say the prayer over the food while he's cooking.
He can do it all together.
Who does the cooking at home?
Oh.
Both. He went to rabbinical school, and at some point he said, "It's in my heart to be a chef."
For the army, he worked as a baker in this kosher restaurant in Tel Aviv.
He worked at different places, but always his passion was cooking and baking.
After COVID, he applied to rabbinical school.
Now he combines nourishing the stomach and the mind. This is my daughter's bedroom and also the safe room.
You need a safe room in the middle of Jerusalem?
Well, according to the Iranians and
Others,
it's what we need.
we are sometimes
Under threat. And this small room once had 15 people inside.
and it included a group of psychologists. There was a siren, and we went into the room. One of the psychologists says to me, Shlomit, you're a poet, right? I'm like, yes. She was, can you read us some poetry now? And I was looking at her and I was like, no, I'm a mother now with my daughters. I'm not a poet now. And I'm thinking, should I have to tell psychologists that? It was very quiet, and then we all laughed, broke the anxiety.
What makes your daughter's bedroom a safe room?
The window you see here,
Can be covered by that.
metal units. What's really heavy part goes out.
I see that.
This part goes out,
Big metal.
and you see how thick the wall is.
Yuck.
30 centimeters. We had a permission to add a safe room. The government has an interest that everyone will have safe rooms.
If there were a rocket attack, are there bunkers you go down into?
No, this safe room is the domestic bunker. This is supposed to save us from missiles. 15 people can sit here very comfortably and watch TV, and we'll try to make it into a fun event.
There's also a bomb shelter downstairs behind the staircase for the whole building.
These are called in Hebrew salsalei kesef, the baskets of silver, because they shine at night, and the honeysuckles and the butterfly and the bees love it.
They put off quite a perfume.
Especially at the evening or in dawn, suddenly this wave of sweetness comes in.
We're on a balcony looking over. Sorry, what did you call it?
This is the Greek colony. So during the 19th century, the Greeks bought this area. There's a beautiful Greek community club not far from here.
So are there any Greeks?
There are a few Greeks.
You also got the German, you got the Russian here in Jerusalem.
Yes, it's a part of that battle of Westerners having property in the Holy Land.
This has the feel of a family community.
it is. It's a real sense of being together. That's something that the war also got us all to understand even better, that we were here together.
I'm seeing quite a few Israeli flags. In fact, right here, off your terrace, there is one. And a sign, as I understand, this is the equivalent of Israel Strong, like Boston Strong.
It's some kind of commitment to the future also, that we are alive, that we're here. And I think if not the war, we will not have had them here. Also, it has a statement that I am identifying with. Everyone should be drafted to the army, because there is an ultra-Orthodox yeshiva right over there, which they do not join the army. I guess they'll be part of the demonstration today.
What's the demonstration about?
It is something that breaks my heart. The ultra-Orthodox bodies in Israel, which do not want to be drafted into the army, are demonstrating against the desire of the government and the need of the army to draft them. I have friends and family members that have been in the army more than 500 days in the last 2 years. My brother is 45 years old. He's been more than 450 days. It shows you that there is a need. They're behaving as if they're not part of this event. But that's what's going on in Israel. The war is not part of their story. During COVID, we used to pray in our balconies because we couldn't go to our synagogues. It was not allowed to leave the house. And we had a minyan, 10 people praying together, and the ultra-Orthodox neighbor was part of that. At that time, when they needed us to be their 10th person to be able to pray, they were in the event. And now they're not. It's a sense of like they have their own world. They're living on my expense, on my tax, and they're not chipping in because there's a massive effort here. Because of the war, I have friends that they're married or breaking up. People that were in the reserves unit had 6 rounds being sent to Gaza or up north. And their wives usually stayed at home and having completely different lives. Soldiers come back and they have, flashes. It's not PTSD necessarily. And they come in and their partners usually are, okay, now you're going to chip in and you're going to take the kids out today and you're going to cook and now I have things to do at work. And they're like, what? But I came from the army. I need to rest. And they're like, no, I was here alone. Now you're in charge. That's one example. Another example is just growing really in separate ways. Of not being in touch is what would happen with a family. I remember I led a creative writing workshop for women that their husbands were in military. One woman shared that she has twins. They were 4 months old when October 7th happened, and their father went to the army. And when he returned later, they're playing with their twins, really happy. And then he asked his wife to remind him, who's who? So it's funny, but it's sad at the same time. It's very hard to adjust, and that's the story of this community. And I think also the flags of Israel is sort of demonstrating we are part of the serving families. We are part of those who are being called. And my husband, he was also drafted. Some mornings I wake up and I'm really depressed. And then I remember that it's our job to heal the world. And I think that in one way or another, we will have to grow as a society. We will have to learn how to live in peace with the Palestinians.
But what about...
And we will have to learn how to make the ultra-Orthodox part of our society. For years, they were left alone to do whatever they want, to not go to the army, not to pay taxes. The army is trying to accommodate them in the most open-minded way, getting into really micromanagement of Jewish law. But the ultra-Orthodox, they're mostly not joining. And I see them smoking behind our parking lot, so no one from the yeshiva will see them. They obviously can go and join the army. And my brother is very observant. He's a Torah scholar. And he served, I think it's more than 600 days actually. Like my brother, who's a father of 6, age 47, is still serving. So it's not just young families. It's like people midlife still going to the army. The Haredi, the ultra-Orthodox society, must understand that not serving, that living separate from Israeli life. This is a threat to the existence of the Jewish state, more than the Palestinians in a way.
What percentage of the population are the Haredim?
13%.
Do they pay taxes?
Less than barely.
There is no public service they're performing?
No.
There's no alternative way for them to give back?
No, they can join national service. They're not joining. Some of them are volunteering to equivalent of the Red Cross and a different kind of help service, immediate help. But it's volunteer work. Like I volunteer too in different places. Like should all volunteer. It's not national service.
How would it be explained? Why aren't they feeling an obligation to do their part? I was over by the Western Wall, and a rabbi came over to me and he says, "Look at those clowns over there." There was a large group of Haredim bowing in prayer, and he says they won't serve.
There was a group of military there too on what they call a culture break, side by side, but not interacting at all. I was so curious about what those Haredim were thinking.
I think in their narrative, they think their Torah learning is saving the Jewish people, which, if that's true, where were they on October 7th? There's a new army unit which will allow them studying Torah, and all the commanders are going to be male. They will not meet any females, and they'll have time to learn Torah, and their commanders are going to be observant. My brother-in-law is a commander in that unit. And the army is doing the best, but the story is that the Haredim, they don't feel connected to the Israeli state. They're here for the Jewish stuff. They're not here to be part of rebuilding the Israeli nation.
But they will participate to the point to make sure they have some sort of power say in the Knesset.
Yes, because then it can get them subsidies, permits, stuff like that. They are a bit like Amish maybe, of like being reconnected to old times and denying modern life. In that way of like dressing as if you're in Poland in the 17th century, and they have only silly phones, like not smartphones. And internet is like a big threat. But there is a section of the modern Haredim. They have internet and they want to be part of the society, and they do reach for higher education. But the vast majority are in a cage that their leadership and rabbis are putting them in order for them not to be part of the Israeli society. There is a story in the Talmud about two people in a boat, and one is digging a hole in the boat, and the other person's asking him, "What are you doing?" He was like, "What do you mind? I'm digging a hole in my part of the boat." And the other person says, "Because a hole in the boat is a hole in the boat, and we're both going to drown." And I think that the Haredi society is digging a hole in our boat, and we're going to drown together.
How did you
Come to be in Jerusalem?
My parents were born here. Their families made Aliyah before the Holocaust. They emigrated from Eastern Europe. My grandmother and grandfather were leaders of groups fighting to drive the British from Palestine after World War II. They were in prison. There were 3 groups. The Haganah, which later became the Israel Defense Force, IDF, and there were 2 more extreme groups, the Irgun and the Lechid.
Those 2 were seen as terrorists by the Brits.
Yeah, the British archives in London cite my grandmother as a very dangerous criminal. She was shorter than I am, tiny. My father spit on the British policemen that were outside their house in Tel Aviv. My late aunt was the head of the Supreme Court in Israel, and she met with Queen Elizabeth. There's a beautiful photo of my aunt bowing towards the Queen, and she's like holding her hand. With the irony that her husband used to spit as a young boy on British soldiers. I went to the Hebrew University, and I stayed in the city. I went to study creative writing, and I started publishing my poetry. And since then, I published 3 books of poetry. I won several prizes. And for me, that is like nice. But what is like more important is the feedback I get from my readers. They're available online in Hebrew, and I'm now working on anthology in English.
And now you're married, you have a family, you have children here.
Yes, they go to school nearby, secular schools. Israel schools are by denomination, and religious
kids and secular kids do not study together.
If I had a child and that child went to a secular grammar school, or maybe junior high or high school, what would be the primary daily difference of emphasis from a religious school?
The level of Jewish studies in secular schools in Israel is extremely low. I'm not sure they finish high school knowing what are the 10 Commandments or able to recite the Shema Israel or saying the blessings you say before you go up to read the Torah.
If my kids were going to school here in a secular school and they're going to be prepared for, let's say, bar bat mitzvah, are they taking religious study through the temple?
Sometimes they don't do that. They just have a big party. There is a lot to learn from established American Judaism regarding the preparation. If you're secular, you're most likely not to have your bar bat mitzvah associated with a synagogue, with praying. The kibbutzim movement during the bar mitzvah year may have different assignments to celebrate you moving on and starting to take on adult responsibilities. And they have a beautiful, really crafted educational system to do that. But it didn't really drift into secular Israel. And some places are like doing this independently.
If my kids go to a religious school, a yeshiva, are they going to come out versed in what makes the state of Israel tick? Will they understand its history and how the government is structured and how it operates, the civic?
From a Haredi yeshiva, they will get none of this. They have no understanding. They don't understand how the system works at all. And that is part of the challenge. I'm modern Orthodox, and I speak the secular language and I speak the religious language. I can open Gemara, I can learn from the Torah, I can do all of that. I also understand how the state works and how the civic works, and I think part of the healing that we spoke about is to make everyone feel comfortable in a Jewish setting and to make everyone comfortable in an Israeli setting, in the civic and in the spiritual.
What would be rejections for you as a modern Orthodox Jew?
What do you mean by rejections?
Things that you would tend not to accept.
I do not use technology over Shabbat. I am very aware to the contents that I am receiving and using on the internet and my daughters are receiving and using on the internet.
Are you talking about pornography, things like that?
Also violence. I'm more bothered by violence and bad language. We asked one of our daughter's teachers not to show something in school because it's foul language. I don't want my daughters to hear that as an acceptable way of speaking. But that's maybe not about religiosity. Nobody wants that.
As a modern Orthodox, are you kosher?
I keep kashrut. Kashrut are Jewish laws of what one should eat and how. It's basically separating between milk and meat, and certain meats and poultry that one could eat and certain fish that one can eat. There is a lot of laws of how to conduct our food. Many religions have rules about what one cannot eat or when they can eat it. There can be restrictions for certain Christians at Lent, for example, or Muslims and halal meat, and Hindus and beef. We also have this commandment of giving stikha, 10% of my salary should go to charity. This tells a story about how I see the money I earn. It's not all about me. The same way that food is not about me and what I wear is not about me. It's part of being part of a larger community and being in touch with your spiritual side.
Amongst your circle of friends, what would be their range of religious observance?
I'm somewhere in the middle. I have friends that are more observant than I am. I used to cover my hair. When I was diagnosed with breast cancer, one of the first things I did, I took off my head covering. Part of my journey of being healthy was to take off anything that bothers me and blocks me. I wear trousers.
How about your kids? How do they identify with religion?
My two eldest daughters had a lot of theological questions after October 7th. Why didn't God prevent this? Which I understood also as a way to talk about grief and anger. And my answer was that why do bad things happen to good people is a question in Jewish philosophy. There's a lot of ways to deal with that. My eldest daughter took upon herself to recite prayers for the hostages, and specifically for 2 hostages that she felt very close to. And the day they were released, she was watching them being released and crying from happiness. We have Shiva visits, which is the mourners stay in their home for 7 days after the funeral, and they accept visitors that come to comfort them. And we went to so many of them. One of my daughters, her school friend, her brother is one of the heroes of October 7th. And the son of her beloved teacher had died, and the husband of a teacher has died, and the nephew of the head teacher, and on and on. A woman who worked at the school was murdered at the Nova Festival on October 7th. That is what they're carrying, that they know so many people who are affected by that, and it becomes a theological challenge, and it becomes a whole question of how do we deal with grief.
How has this affected their attitudes, your attitudes, about Arabs, Palestinians?
Some of them are my friends. I don't see them as one piece. And I think that our leadership is a tragedy and their leadership is a tragedy. And what breaks my heart is that during the Holocaust, there were so many people that hid Jewish kids in their houses and saved them. And I was waiting to hear about someone from Gaza that saved hostages, and there are none yet to be discovered. Part of our tragedy is we had a chance on October 8th and October 9th to do some moral things and to be able to be the bigger people and have a clear moral stand. We lost the moral case in the eyes of so many in the West and so many in Israel. I feel that there is a certain stage of the war that wasn't about the hostages. It was more about Netanyahu staying in government. I want to talk about Zionism for a second. There was a whole dispute regarding Theodor Herzl and what moved him into Zionism. Part of what moved him was the anti-Semite mayor of Vienna. Herzl realized its end of Jewish life in Vienna, and that meant in Europe. That made him move into thinking about a solution for the Jewish people. And I think now it's a moment in history in New York. It's next to Israel and the number of Jews living in it. And we know what's happening since October 7th. We know about synagogues and their security situation. We know about threats to our friends who are rabbis. And the election of Mamdani to be mayor, I don't know where that goes. I'm worried that America is not going to be safe for Jews. So much that comes out is about the tear in Jewish families in America over Gaza. Israel, instead of being a source that unites the Jewish people, is dividing the Jewish people. It's heartbreaking.
What are you saying through your poetry? What is the expression that you're trying to give to the world?
I do my poetry because to respond to reality and to life. I'm trying to offer another way to look at what's happening. There is a big cry for empathy and for compassion through what I do. And I think that's what we need now, people all around the world, is to see what's happening and to know another way to live. My way is through my poetry. Life has to be elevated. It has to be better than what's happening.
Your children, how are they and their friends influenced by their parents in understanding how to accept and get along with Palestinians?
Before I answer that, just a second. I think something is burning in the kitchen.
Okay, sure.
The beans. Oh, I'm not sure all Arabs want all Jews to be gone. My daughters went to kindergarten right across our street here, and their caregivers and the kindergarten teachers were Arabs from the village in Jerusalem. I think it's not one thing, the Arab society. I think there's the Jerusalemite Arab society, and there are Palestinians in Gaza and there are Palestinians on West Bank, and their narratives are not the same narratives. I think the first thing that we should do in the Israeli school system is we have to learn Arabic.
Do the Arab kids here in Israel learn Hebrew?
Of course they do.
Do Israeli Jews study Arabic culture?
No, there's no formal curriculum to teach about Islam for junior high or for elementary school. There was no educational work to explain who are they, what are they, like there was nothing.
How do they understand who the Arab people are?
I remember when I was young and being told that the people that clean the streets are Arabs. That's how I was brought into the fact there were Arabs around us. It's a story that is not being told, and we see them as invisible in many times.
You're aware of this. Are your friends aware of this?
Once I wore a hijab and nobody looked at me, I was transparent. No, you see a hijab, you're not interested. It's not part of you. It's not none of your friends. There is no reason to look at. But there's something happening in Jerusalem in the last 10, 15 years. In a lot of places, you see Arabs, and they're usually service givers from different kind of levels. Someone who's educated as a doctor or a pharmacist, or someone that folds clothes and sells them to you. And you see Arab people in a more dignified way that I saw them only as cleaners. So I think there is good change, and that is credit to Israeli society. But I think much bigger change will happen when Israeli Jews learn Arabic. If they don't know the language and they don't know the culture, how would they understand what is needed to get along?
When your kids graduate from school, what's their knowledge of Arab culture?
My girls know a little bit of Arabic, but they don't speak Arabic. They had a fight in school because someone said that all the Arabs are evil, and they said, no, our mothers has friends that are Arab. Creating a common space for Arab and Jews is essential. I have to look at the wrongs of me as a woman, as a Jerusalemite, as an Israeli, as a Jew. We don't do enough to understand what's going on with Arabs and Palestinians.
It would be great to hear you read your poetry.
Sure. I'll read one I had translated in English.
Safety pin. Ce n'est pas un pipe, grit. This is not a laundry pile. These are clean clothing that just came out of the washing machine, straight into the dryer. These are the clothes that are covering the people you love, the man you've waited for and built a home with. This is the shirt enveloping the softness, giving him a home when he goes outside. These are the clothes enveloping your daughters, your only ones, when they venture out to the vulnerable outdoors. Breathe in their childish smell. Do not let them leave you. This age will never come back to you. Fold their dreams into the tights, boulevards, and the streets of slacks. Your love is a safety pin in their hearts.
That is wonderful. That imagery really goes right to the heart of things.
Thank you. Some of the poetry I wrote since October 7th, I'm like, it's too much pain.
Some of the things we have seen the last few days, it's wrenching. Jeff was saying to me last night, he said it's just almost too much to deal with. Let's say you've been granted one wish. It will change something instantly in the world, in Israel, in your own family. What would it be?
Israeli school system. The ability of an Israeli child from the periphery of society, where the family struggles socially, economically, their chances to succeed in life are among the lowest in the OECD countries. It was always the Jewish mind that kept us moving forward, and the school system is not good enough.
What does Shlomit mean?
Shlomit means peace, the feminine word of peace. Peace is shalom.
Shalom, Shlomit.
And shalom, Jim and Jeff.
Yeah, we're seeing all these Haredim. There must be thousands of them.
Yeah, according to the news, there were 200,000 demonstrating against drafting to the military.
Had there been anything quite like this prior?
There were big demonstrations in the past, not many. There definitely a huge demonstration.
Look at that. As far as the eye can see. Almost all of it is male. I'm not seeing any women.
Just the typical dress of the Haredim men.
Ultra-Orthodoxy is a reaction to the Reform movement and to secularism in Europe. Been dressing like this since they lived in the ghettos hundreds of years ago.
Let's take it from the top. They're wearing hats.
Yeah, the black hats. They are going with a suit.
It's a black suit.
Yeah, a white shirt all the time. They're not wearing jeans because jeans is modernity.
And what do the strings represent?
The strings, it's called tzitzit. They have 613 strings. For 613 commandments in the Bible.
Many of them have beards, but there's also, you have locks.
Yeah.
Payas.
Yeah, this is the pass. Again, the Bible. Bible commands men not round out their faces. So many have this facial hair to show devotion to God. Torah doesn't explain to us why the commandments were given. Something more familiar is circumcisions. Jewish parents, if they have a boy, after 8 days circumcise him. People like to explain it as healthier. Maybe it is, I don't know. But that's not the original reason. Is physical sign of Jewish covenant with God, devotion to God. Some say it is because humans not created perfect. This includes penis, get rid of useless appendage, circumcision completing to perfection, other reasons too.
Well, how about that? I am up on the Mount of Olives. Ah, boy. From up here, it really hits you how compressed and crisscrossed the older sections of Jerusalem are. It's towns and villages and neighborhoods, Jewish and Arab, pressed to each other right up to the old city wall. And just above me, atop a hill, so unexpected, a house flying this huge Israeli flag. And I'm told that house is on Israeli territory. No flags on the houses around it. They're Palestinian. Well, or so I'm told. Just below, overlooking the old city, a field of white, an ancient cemetery, oldest active Jewish burial ground in the world. From up close, many of the tombs look like they're abandoned and not used anymore. There could be a spot in there for me. The old city. This is one big architectural dig covering 3,000 years, but much more, of course. It's a religious, residential, commercial cauldron in 4 quarters. Armenian, Christian, Muslim, Jewish. There's like a bubbling cauldron of historic empire builders and Romans and Byzantines and Persians and Jews and Arabs and Christian crusaders and Ottomans, the likes of King David, Christ and his apostles, Suleiman the Magnificent. And what do we have today? It's home to tens of thousands and myriad commercial establishments selling all kinds of trinkets. Welcome to the Holy Land. The array of possibilities buying these trinkets is endless, and catering to swarms of tourists. You kind of can tell the difference between, the jolly tourists who come here and, hey, they're on an adventure, and the pilgrims. They look like they have real purpose. They have a more solemn kind of look. And all of this is cheek to jowl with the holiest of holies, the Via della Rosa, Christ bearing his cross to Golgotha, Church of the Holy Sepulchre, on ground where Christ was crucified, Dome of the Rock, Muhammad ascending to heaven, the Western Wall, Judaism's beating heart. All of this and much more in less than, get this, a square kilometer. I had no idea. You go from one section to the other to the other. I've been doing this, I don't know, most of the time, what section I'm in. Because they are really, they sort of have been melded into one another. I'm searching for the words to kind of capture this. It's kind of a kaleidoscope? Cinemascope? Oh, that doesn't sound very well. How about a macrocosm of the outcomes of human nature? Yeah, that might work. In the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, I lit a candle in memory of all I love and cherish and for all of goodwill. At the Western Wall, a rabbi appeared and he started wrapping my arm and head in hand in tefillin, symbols of God's presence and my dedication to the divine. I wasn't quite sure what he was up to, but he was so insistent that I went along with it. And then I stuffed a bit of paper in an ancient crevice, stuffed with countless other scrawled notes, and call for peace on earth, goodwill toward all, between all. And now I'm wriggling away from the wall through a throng of the prayerful and curious. And I'm thinking about what Ayel hoped for in his devastated kibbutz. That he and his family might someday walk from their home across Gaza to the sea in peace. If only, if only. Thank you for listening to Episode 5 of Israeli Voices, Who We Are. Many, many thanks to Shlomit Nayor. You'll find more about Shlomit in our show notes. In Episode 6, a teacher helping young Haredim take on life-altering challenges of military service. An ultra-Orthodox rabbi, educator, and entrepreneur acclaimed for forging pathways for Haredim to be active participants in Israel's high-achieving, on-the-go, uber-patriotic society while keeping time-honored customs and traditions. Soldiers speaking about the honor of defending their country, fighting for freedom. Citizen Arts is a not-for-profit 501c3 educational organization that seeks to present constructive, compelling information, ideas, and opinions about important civic, social, and cultural matters. We very much welcome your feedback. Dear listeners, please stay healthy in mind and body, wealthy in goodwill, and wise in action. I'm Jim Gabe, Citizen Arts founder. Jill Gabe is executive producer. Jeff Lewis is producer and artistic director. Hillik Wald is our Israel field producer.